Some moments in football last forever.
Surely now Spain have won the World Cup!
They're bigger than trophies, stronger than rivalries. In these moments, it doesn't matter who you support or what colours you wear. Everything fades into respect. And perhaps no player embodies this more than Andrés Iniesta. But on one unforgettable night in Johannesburg, he gave Spain something they had never experienced before. A quiet magician waiting patiently in the shadows, ready to write his name in history. This is the night Andrés Iniesta shined brighter than ever. The night he became Spain's eternal hero. You see, going into the 2010 World Cup, Spain were one of those teams who had never touched the trophy in their entire history. But they were tipped to change that in South Africa because they had a really crazy team who had won the Euros just 2 years prior, and most of whom had just completed an unprecedented sextuple with Barcelona the year before, making them arguably the greatest club side in football history. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets. Together, they had reshaped football with their precise passing style, known worldwide as tiki-taka. But after the opening round of the tournament, most fans and pundits turned their focus elsewhere. Despite all the talent they had, Spain were unable to score a single goal against Switzerland and ended up losing 1-0. It was a huge shock and a horrible start to the tournament for the Spaniards, but they managed to get out of their group by winning their other 2 games, finishing first ahead of Chile only on goal difference. In the round of 16, Spain faced Portugal and won by a single goal to 0. Then they went on to the quarter-finals and beat Paraguay, also by a lone goal. At this point, people began to air their doubts. This Spain team just wasn't convincing. This was a team that scored 8 goals in the group stage alone at Euro 2008. But going into the semi-finals of the World Cup, they had only managed to score 6 goals all tournament. Ahead of their semi-final game against Germany, many said they would be exposed. Germany had just put 4 past England and Lionel Messi's Argentina in the round of 16 and quarter-finals, respectively. So millions of fans were saying that they were going to decimate Spain. But well, that didn't happen. Spain's defence won it for them against the mighty Germany. They kept a clean sheet, and the winning goal was scored by centre-back Carles Puyol to send them to their first ever World Cup final, where they were to face the Netherlands. You see, the Dutch also had never won the World Cup, so they were just as hungry as Spain, and they were also as talented. Just like Spain, they had Champions League and European treble winners, a solid defence, and a generally cohesive team. Everyone knew it was going to be a really cagey affair in Soccer City Johannesburg that night, but I don't think anyone anticipated what we eventually saw from both those teams. You could tell that both teams wanted it so badly, both showed tremendous desire and passion, and it made for a super entertaining watch despite being goalless for the most part. There was so much passion on show that day that we saw 15 cards brandished. Now you might look at the scoreline and think both teams were being cautious all through, but that wasn't the case at all. Right from the very first whistle, both Spain and the Netherlands went for it. La Roja won a free kick in the opening 5 minutes, and Xavi's cross was met by Sergio Ramos's head, which forced Stekelenburg to make a save. Piqué came close to doing something from the rebound, but the goalkeeper eventually cleaned up. Just 2 minutes after that, Quiet attempted a long-range shot, but it was too weak to beat Casillas. Then, a couple minutes later, Ramos, who was Spain's right back at that tournament, fired a shot at goal, but Heitinga was at the right place to make a block and give Spain a corner. When the cross from that corner came in, David Villa was able to connect with it and make the net ripple with his volley, but it turned out to only be the side netting. 15 minutes into the match, the yellow cards began to fly. Robin van Persie got the first one of the night for a bad tackle on Capdevila, and then Puyol joined the striker in the books 2 minutes later for a crunching tackle on Robin. The foul happened 25 yards away from goal, but Sneijder still attempted a shot from that distance, but as you would expect, it was all too easy for Casillas to handle. By the 25th minute, Van Bommel and Ramos had also picked up yellow cards. But one of the most controversial moments of the entire World Cup final came in the 28th minute, when a flying Nigel de Jong sent his stud straight into Xavi Alonso's chest, but only received a yellow card. Howard Webb had a very clear view of the incident, so it was strange that the card wasn't red. The image of that very nasty foul continues to spread all around the internet 15 years after the incident. Anyway, the game went on, and something very interesting happened in the 33rd minute. A collision between Casillas and Puyol left the defender in pain, and that forced Spain to put the ball out of play so he could get some attention. After all that was done, the Netherlands tried to return the ball to Spain, but instead they nearly ended up scoring from it, and Casillas was forced to push the ball out for a corner. Anyway, in the spirit of fair play, the Netherlands returned the ball to Casillas from the corner. But they then went on to make a mess of what could have been a brilliant corner kick routine in the 37th minute, and just moments after, it was Pedro running at the Dutch defence and attempting a weak foot shot from outside the box. It went wide. In additional time of the first half, Robben attempted a shot from just outside the box, but Casillas was alive to it. Anyway, that was how the first half ended. 45 minutes gone, and still nothing separated the teams. At the beginning of the second half, Puyol came close to recreating the goal that brought Spain to the final, also from the Xavi corner. But he was unable to find the target, and Capdevila just wasn't able to properly connect with the ball. In the 50th minute, Spain thought they should have been awarded a penalty, but they weren't. Anyway, the game continued to be very cagey, but it nearly broke open in the 62nd minute when Sneijder found Robben with a defence-splitting pass. Robben raced onto the ball. Time seemed to slow down. Casillas, rooted to the spot initially, now charged out bravely. Robben's shot looked destined for goal, but somehow Casillas managed to stretch his foot out, sending the ball inches wide of the post. Robben sank to his knees in disbelief, knowing how close he'd come to glory. In the 77th minute, a close-range effort from Villa was blocked, and it led to a Spain corner. Sergio Ramos came close to scoring from the corner, but he put the ball over the crossbar despite being totally unmarked in the box. A few minutes later, Robben found himself in a one-on-one situation again after he outmuscled Puyol, but he didn't even get his shot away because Casillas came off his line early enough and wrapped his body around the ball. After the ball had gone, Robben could be seen yelling in Webb's ear as he felt he should have been given a free kick and Puyol should have been sent off for what he thought was a foul. For his protests, the ringer was shown a yellow card. Anyway, after that chance went begging, it became obvious that we wouldn't see any goals in that half. And indeed, that was what happened. It was 0-0 after 90 minutes, so the game went to extra time. Now you would notice that we haven't really mentioned Andrés Iniesta's name in this game. Well, that's because he waited until extra time to come alive. In the opening 5 minutes of extra time, Iniesta sent a defence-splitting pass through to Cesc Fabregas, who had come on for Xabi Alonso in the 87th minute. Fabregas, who was one-on-one with the keeper, had a chance to pass or shoot. He chose to shoot, but Stekelenburg saved. The next moment, Matthijssen came close to scoring for the Netherlands from the corner, but he wasn't able to keep his header down. Then, in the 101st minute, Dutch hearts were in their mouths when Jesus Navas shot at goal. It would have been an easy save, but the shot was deflected off Van Bronckhorst, and it wrong-footed the goalkeeper. Thankfully, though, it only hit the side netting. That was a mighty relief. Moments before the end of the first half of extra time, Fabregas danced through the Netherlands' defence, but he was unable to find the target, so halfway through extra time, there was still no goal on the board for either team. But everything was bound to change in the second period, as the second half of extra time was off to a flying start. In the opening 5 minutes, Xavi found Iniesta with a lovely pass, and he was through on goal, but he was pulled down by John Heitinga just outside the box. So he was shown a second yellow. Iniesta was almost certainly going to score from that chance, so it made sense that Heitinga was sent off. But it turned out to be a worthy sacrifice from the Dutch defender at that moment, because Xavi was unable to even find the target from the resulting free kick. Then, in the 115th minute, the Netherlands got their own free kick. It was miles away, but Sneijder attempted a shot on goal. The ball took a deflection, and Casillas had to get a fingertip on it to stop it from going in. Then came the 116th minute. Torres crossed. A Dutch defender blocked it, but the ball fell kindly to Fabregas. One quick pass, and Iniesta, like a ghost between defenders, stood waiting. One touch to control, one strike to make history. The net rippled. For a split second there was silence, then eruption. And in that moment, Andrés Iniesta gave his country a memory that would last forever. Iniesta took off his shirt, racing toward the corner flag, overwhelmed by emotion. He was instantly surrounded by teammates, coaches and substitutes flooding onto the pitch. Cameras captured emotional fans celebrating wildly. The joy in that moment wasn't just felt on the pitch, but by millions across Spain and beyond. The writing on his shirt read, "Dani Harker, always with us," a heartfelt tribute to his late friend and former teammate who had died just a year earlier. Of course, Iniesta was booked for taking off his shirt, but he definitely didn't care a tiny bit. He had just scored the greatest goal in Spanish football history, and that instantly turned him into a legend in his home country. To show you how much this game elevated his status in Spain, 5 years after, Iniesta became the first Spanish player to receive a standing ovation from the Santiago Bernabeu home crowd while playing a game for Barcelona against Real Madrid. You see, because of that one goal against the Netherlands in the 2010 World Cup final, even the deadliest of rivalries are put aside to pay respect to the magician Andrés Iniesta and what he gave to the entire nation of Spain. But while Iniesta brought a nation to tears of joy in 2010, over a decade later, another man brought a nation to its knees. Click here to witness how Kylian Mbappé turned the World Cup final into a horror show for Argentina.